I'm your host, Jason Tartick, and welcome to Trading Secrets. We talk all things money on this podcast, and we're teaching all the stuff we just weren't taught in the classroom. Nothing supports this show more than liking, commenting, and of course, subscribing. Brittany and Leo from Love is Blind Season 7, thank you so much for being here on Trading Secrets.
Thank you for having us.
Stoked to be here.
This is your first podcast that you guys are sitting down together. I feel honored.
I know. And in Miami of all places.
In Miami of all places. The question is, how do you two feel? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, it's a wild dynamic that you could possibly go from, getting married, which obviously wasn't the case, but then to like being cool and cordial. Like how does that dynamic work for you two, and how do you manage it?
So far, it's going really good. I can't explain why we're such good friends. I feel like it was big into astrology, and I feel like we had a very karmatic relationship, but for the positive.
Yeah, it's funny. We're not just cordial. We're really good friends. Like, I think even more so than we let on in the reunion and all that stuff. We talk on the phone a ton. I mean, we're both really into affirmations and astrology and a lot of that kind of maybe woo-woo stuff. But
we pray together.
Yeah, really.
On almost daily basis.
Actually, yeah.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you call each other and then pray?
Literally.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So people are going to listen to this just be like, how? Like how do you separate, kind of what was and still take such a positive mind frame for like still being cool with what is? Because that is almost, it feels like it's impossible. I could never do that with my ex because I have so much emotion tied to it, So I couldn't. I wish them all the best, but like it would be really hard for me to do what you guys are doing and doing it with such positivity. It's empowering. It's a little inspirational, I guess. So like, what's that trading secret? How?
I think it's because of the length of our relationship. We were really together 3-4 weeks,
Yeah.
And half of that was not physical.
Yeah.
It's through a wall. So we built such a strong friendship that I feel like that was the core. I don't know.
Like that was the
core of our being,
foundation.
the foundation, yes.
I think the thing, like Brittany was always so easy to talk to. And one of the things in the pods was, I remember our first date, we have all these notebooks and I'm a super meticulous type A person taking notes on literally everybody. And I remember with Brittany's date, she's like, I'm so over these notebooks. And we just literally threw the notebooks to the floor. And for the first 3 dates, we would do it. And we didn't really remember any of the facts about each other. But I just remember being like, this is the easiest person to talk to in the world.
Interesting. All right. That's fascinating. Yeah. We're going to get into business talk and kind of what you guys have done before and what you're doing later. But let's talk about this. Like, I think the biggest difference between friendships and relationships is like the intimacy part, right? So would you say, especially being through this experiment, chemistry and just the physical nature of the relationship is the determining factor in a relationship? And as like a single guy, educate me based on someone who's been behind the wall, in front of the wall, things that obviously didn't work out but did work out. What's your take on that dynamic of a relationship, the physical part and the chemistry?
For me, that is definitely I think for everyone that's a big factor that we didn't have too much of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And first of all, I'm a single guy too. So take anything that I say with a big grain of salt.
Yeah.
But, one thing, like, despite I think the fact that the reveal looked a little more intense than maybe it was in real life, and we've said like Brittany never really felt uncomfortable with me, but it was very clear that I was way more attracted to Brittany than she was to me. And one of the reasons we went to Miami was because like we wanted to do this next phase of our own experience. Like, it wasn't on camera, so let's try and recreate this off camera. And Brittany had less of a physical attraction to me than I did to her, and so we wanted to try that. But that's not really the reason it didn't work out. We realized very quickly that we just really were better as friends. But that was also one part of it, for sure.
Yeah. I put up this story on Instagram, and I told you guys within an hour we got over 100,000 views on this thing. A lot of people are interested in both of you two and your story, but there were a ton of questions about Miami. People wanted to know like the ins and outs. What did you guys actually do? Was there some kind of connection? Did you find out there was none? Like, what more could you give us on Miami? Because I got to tell you, of the hundreds and hundreds of responses, Miami was a big one.
I'm not surprised.
My memory is not the greatest, Leo. I need you to.
That's a good friend asking a good friend for help, Leo.
Sure. Okay. Well, Why don't you read one of the questions and let's take it from there.
Okay.
I'm
You
a
want
little
me to read
scared.
them? So here's this one says, what happened in Miami? Did they hook up in Miami? This is from K. Tina Hansen. What did they do in Miami? Like, seriously, I want a play-by-play. I must know. Like, that's like a lot of them. Money Mafia, chill out here.
There was so much more to Miami than that. Like one that last night that we were at the SLS
Yes.
when with the martini.
Yes.
Yeah, there was this big argument that we had about sharing drinks, and it was so funny because it happened at this one bar, this one like spot in a bar where she actually had a martini and I took a sip of it and she got like really mad. Yeah, she got mad, and I mean she didn't want me to, and I took a sip of it and then turned her thing, and we found that same spot, and I was like, oh, maybe we should take a photo there. And we were like, bad energy. Let's not do that.
I saw the TikTok you did about that.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. That was a relatable TikTok. All right, so you guys are big on energy, and the number one question also people are going to ask: is there ever a future?
I'm pretty happy right now.
Okay,
I think we're
good.
friends. I think we're friends.
Friends
Yeah,
in a good
for
place.
Sure. Yeah.
This is fascinating. I feel like you guys should write a book together on how you can maintain friendship after a relationship. It's pretty special.
Well, Brittany's already written a book, so
yeah.
So it should be maybe
This will
maybe
be
that's
the
fine
next
too.
one.
Yeah.
This will be the next one.
It could be the next one. The next one's going to be all about energy healing, affirmations. I'm currently writing that, but maybe a relationship next.
Okay, with energy healing, and you're writing it right now, how much energy healing have you had to do through this process of reality TV, filming, going through all this, and where you are today?
I went straight to see a shaman after Love is Blind.
Yeah?
I
And what did the
did.
shaman do for you?
She just collected my little soul fragments that have slid off during hard times in my life. And I gotta say, I felt so different afterwards, like a completely different person.
Interesting. Have you found this experience, an experiment, to be a mental challenge? Has it been tough on your mental health?
For sure. I think the hardest part was after filming and dealing with the abundance of hate. And I think that an average person would never be able to handle that. And if I wasn't so spiritually strong, I don't think I would have been able to handle it, to be honest.
How has that impacted you, Leo, some of that pushback?
Very similar. So, I mean, I'm Jewish, and I became actually way more religious after the show. Like, I pray every day. There's a lot of sort of daily Jewish prayers that I started doing. I have a rabbi that I'm really close to, and that really helped me get through a lot of the hate. And also, thank God that it's over largely. We got a little bit of a redemption arc, and I know some of the people on the cast haven't, which, like, I can only imagine that really sucks.
Yeah. Do you think you'll go back into reality TV in any capacity if offered?
I don't know. I don't think so.
How about you, Brittany?
Yes, probably not a dating show,
Okay.
but it was fun. It was fun just, I don't know, just going on there, being yourself, meeting a ton of new people. It was a good experience.
And so for you, the reward of it outweighs some of the noise that you had to deal with.
Yes. And I think I see everything as an opportunity for growth. So, I mean, I just feel so much stronger of a person after this. And I just feel like I stand up for myself 1,000 times more. And I think that another one would be challenging, but also rewarding if you play it right.
Interesting. All right. In careers and life and personal situations, I think we could always kind of, play Monday morning quarterback, look back and think about things we might have done differently that could have impacted us today. You talked about some of the noise that is out there. Leo, we'll start with you first. When you look at your journey through this experiment, what would you say is your biggest regret from it?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I guess I talked about money way more than I realized I did. And that was like super cringy looking back on. And then obviously the whole Hannah Brittany situation. I mean, I addressed it in the reunion, but it like I try and block it out of my mind. But it was just a super low point, and it's awful just seeing you be like one of the worst versions of yourself. And like if nobody else ever saw that, I would still be like mortified. Like the thing that really haunted me was thinking of like my mom, who's no longer here. Like if she had seen that, she would have been like so disappointed.
Yeah.
And so that was like that like haunted me. And I actually, before the reunion, I was really on the fence if I should, like I hadn't spoken to Hannah in a long time, and I was like, should I call her? Should I apologize? And I didn't know because we hadn't spoken. And I remember I actually called Garrett, and I was like, hey, I'm having this conflict, and I just start weeping on the phone. I'm like sobbing uncontrollably, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Should I apologize? I don't want her to think it's like some like tactic. And Garrett was like, you seem like you're really sincerely sorry. I'm like, dude, I feel horrible. And so I called Hannah, and I was like, right after that call, I'm like still crying. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I never addressed it. And Hannah was like, she totally forgave me. She's like, first of all, I've been through like a million other things in my life since that. Like, I'm over it, but I appreciate that. And then we actually just basically chatted, shot the shit for like another hour. And I felt like just very cleansed going into the reunion. And because I didn't want any apology to her on the reunion to feel like performative. I wanted her to know, like, the real emotional apology was off camera. I didn't want her to think I was like saving it to get like saved crocodile tears, like, or whatever the term is for the camera. So that was like the real apology. But
I think that's the right, like in this world, if I see someone do something like, let's say it's publicly, I'll always try and like contact them directly first. Be like, hey, can we settle this dust before it becomes a complete windstorm? You know what I mean? So I think that's great. You obviously have a great relationship with Brittany, friendship. Do you have a friendship currently with Hannah? What's the status of that?
I would say her and I are friendly. We chat on the phone once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Brittany and I are really good friends. I would say Hannah and I are friendly.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're going to have to write a book on being the king of friendships after dating and breaking hearts. Unbelievable.
I don't know. I think I just got lucky. I don't know.
Tell you what, before I go to you, Brittany, the money aspect. I want to talk about it. You brought it up. The podcast is about money. I mean, money has the biggest stigma in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like people that talk about it instantly, it's so easy to take it out of context and create villain with it, right?
Yeah.
My whole theory with this whole podcast, 200 episodes in, they're like, we don't have to villainize it. We don't have to put stigmas to it. It's healthy to talk about it. It's one of the most important resources in the world. It's important to have an opinion. And it's better to just voice your opinion on where you stand with it than not talk about it like every other human in the world. And then we know the statistics don't work out. 50% of couples don't talk about money. Of the 50% that do, over half of them fight about it. It decreases intimacy. And 43% of married and cohabitating relationship, they're stealing and lying through money because we're not talking about it. So part of you, I see what you're saying, because you probably got a lot of press for that, or feedback for that, but also like you stepped into something that is hard to step into with the money conversations. What would you have done differently?
I think about that a lot because in one sense, I can't say I wouldn't have brought it up because it does feel relevant, but then I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
I think you did fine.
What?
I think you did fine.
I think you did. Are you, okay, so I liked this clip on TikTok. Is this the clip when you say brought it up? Is this the one you're talking about? Let me play it and see if this is it.
The bills. Would it be 50-50?
I don't know if I believe in paying all of it. And but I also don't think I believe in splitting 50-50 if I'm like making more. But I do like the thought of both of us paying something because it feels like we're both invested.
I'm glad because the other guys were hard 50-50 and I didn't realize, like, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But you were honest.
I do like nice things.
That's so
And we
brave to
shop
say.
for grooming and nails and hair and my fucking workout classes and stuff
Oh,
are
man.
expensive. And my last relationship, I was taken care of
While you're putting this,
100%.
like 10 seconds.
That person contacted me immediately.
One of the things that
this is you.
I am, oh geez, we got the
Taking care of me
most
100%.
insecure about is, does she want me because of my job and because of the money that
This is so hard to listen to.
I was very blessed to have?
So that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Now, what in that conversation would you have done differently? And Brittany, you just heard it. You're kind of laughing. What would you have done
because
differently?
we were encouraged to talk about finances.
You should.
I know.
I brought it up. I did not, he was not bragging about it. It's something that came up. We had a.
And you asked.
Yeah, I asked.
You opened the
I
conversation.
asked, yeah.
I guess I honestly regret it because it looks so awful. But I don't
What
regret
looks
talking.
awful?
I don't know. I feel like I came across as like a rich asshole that was like, here's what I felt like it looked like, and I hope I didn't come across like this, but it seemed like I was almost saying, oh, I'm insecure and don't want to talk about my money as this weird humble brag way of saying that I have money. Like, but that's like not what I was trying to do. I was trying to be super matter of fact about it.
It sounds like, here's what I'm hearing, and tell me if this is right. The intention of wanting to say, hey, this is an insecurity of mine, right? I inherit a lot of money, yet I have wealth, and I'm a little insecure that someone is going to be with me for that and not who I am. That intention is about as pure and real as it can get and honest. I think maybe it sounds like you would have had a little different delivery, but the intention, it feels like that's a conversation you
100%.
probably should have, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
My family encourages me to have that. Like, one thing that my mom told me, gangster advice, by the way.
Yeah, let's hear it.
My mom made more than my dad. My mom's side of the family has the art business.
Okay.
And so when they ended up splitting, actually, it was usually it's sort of the woman stereotypically has less money and it's taking from it was the opposite.
Gotcha.
Reversal.
Yeah.
And my mom said that, one of the issues if you have significant assets, you want to have a prenup. And many people wait a long time for a prenup. And then all of a sudden you're like way down the road. And what if she's not okay with it? And that's okay not to be okay with it. So you should bring it up early. There's no good way to bring it up. But if it's going to be a red wall, why wait until you're madly in love a year into dating or maybe engaged? So I figured now that we have this really compressed timeline, that was one thing that I brought up with Brittany. I brought it up with Hannah because we got to that point. So that was big reason of bringing up the money.
Yeah, and I think that's healthy to proactively talk about it. And our take here, at least my take on prenups, are everybody has a prenup. It's your state law. Do you want to customize it? Like, there's a prenup in place. Do you want to customize it and make it for your situation? Did you guys get into details of prenups, like specifics? What did that look like amongst you two?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
I actually, a little bit. What I said, it was very short, was any money that I inherited, if we were to split,
Yeah, you're right.
that would be for hopefully my future wife and our children, so that, wouldn't be fair. And the other thing is, because I have a business, I wouldn't want 50% of my business taken, largely because what happens in that situation is Brittany would then get 50%, or anyone would get 50% of the voting power in the business. That was a big issue actually with a lot of things. So really it was, for me, it would be any money that I would make after we were married, 50-50, whatever, split, house, fine. Just the business that I had for my family and the inheritance, that was the main thing for me.
For sure. Makes perfect sense. Brendan, what's your take? So we played that clip back. You laughed a little bit, had fun with it. Is there anything you would have done different, or what was that reaction for?
I mean, I said what I said.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It's just oh my gosh. Well, as soon as I saw that first episode, I was like, I'm going to have to delete all my social media and fall off the face of the planet. But it's fine.
But I mean,
a lot of girls,
if that's how you
loved
feel,
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's how
that
you
was for the
feel.
girls.
Speak how you feel. Why put a people can judge if they agree with it or disagree with it, but why put a filter on something that you feel strongly about?
Yeah.
Talk to me about a lot of money behaviors or thoughts are derived from childhood experience or maybe family upbringing. Is there something that may have happened in just your childhood or things that you've seen in life that you want security financially with a partner?
Thinking about my childhood, it was pretty normal.
Yeah.
A very middle class family. My parents were never very happy together.
Okay.
And yeah, actually, wow, you might be right about this, because my mom, she would try to divorce my dad, and I just saw where money would become important in a relationship, I think, early. You need to be financially stable enough to leave a relationship.
Oh, so you felt like maybe something that you took is she was staying in the relationship because she wasn't financially independent on her own.
Yes.
And so for maybe as a child, you were saying, I need financial security.
Yes.
And so that's something that comes forward.
Yeah.
And
I
things
have
that you're looking for.
a very vivid memory of her being look, if your dad and I divorced, we're going to have to live in an apartment. And I'm I don't care,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But it never came to that because she did pass away. But yeah, I think it's an early memory of just realizing how hard it would be to get out of a relationship if your finances weren't right.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's
very
totally
sad.
a
It's
real
very
thing.
sad.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that both of you felt comfortable enough to talk about it, because it's an important topic to talk about and it's very scrutinized. So you step into it and it's you can't win in that conversation of money. It's just a hard one to do. Let's go back to careers, what it looked like before the show. So esthetician, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so are you still on that career track? Are you maybe going to go in a different direction? What does your professional life look like today?
I've had clients that I've known for 13 years, and I feel I'll always, see those clients whenever I'm back in Maryland. It's not a passion of mine anymore, if I'm being honest. I'll always love skincare, but I've been doing it since I was literally 19. So I do feel quite over it, and I've been taking off more and more and more.
Yeah.
The whole month of December.
Yeah.
Traveling all around. So I do see myself getting out of that quickly.
Okay, you're going to make a move. Talk to us about this. We've never had anybody in skincare, an esthetician on. Just give us an idea. How are estheticians compensated? Do you get a percentage of the amount of work you're doing? Do you get like a percentage of products you sell? Like, how does it work, the business model?
I feel like it could go one of two ways.
Yeah.
There is either a commission, so you can make a certain commission off of the facial or waxing or whatever you do,
Okay.
plus tip, and then plus product commission, or you could just be on a baseline salary.
Okay, what are commissions? Like, would you say average commission at a place would be around?
40, 50%.
Okay, that makes sense. And then on the products, what's the average commission around?
Like 10%.
10%. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then what would you say if I Googled right now, esthetician, average base salary, if they're not on commission, just base salary plus tips, what around is it?
I think it depends on the state, to be honest.
Okay.
So Maryland, I would say 60, 70.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cost of living adjustments.
Yeah.
But you thought you're seeing something new then. You think there's going to be a new direction? What do you think it's going to be? If you had the crystal ball, you got your energy rolling, what does the career track look like for Brittany 5 years from now? What's the dream?
Okay, I would say definitely influencing and then just continuing to write books.
Okay.
And so I have a book all about health. I switch my passions quite often.
Yeah.
And I will obsessively learn about something and then feel like I've conquered that, write a book and move on. And I feel like I've conquered energy healing and spiritual stuff. So I feel like I need to write that book and then move on to who knows what.
Okay. So who knows what? Maybe more reality TV. Get the book done. That's
Relationship
great.
advice. I don't know.
Relationship advice. One thing I did want to get your opinion on, because we already talked about it, just your take on the Hannah situation and just like from your lens, because we heard it from Leo's.
I would say if I was in Hannah's position, I probably would have said a lot of the things she was saying and felt how she was feeling, for sure. And don't get me wrong, I love Nick. I love all my castmates. But I mean, I was kind of blown away with the amount of hate that she's getting. It's unbelievable. And I do understand, there's ways in which you could say things maybe nicer or something, but I kind of have her edginess as well. So for me, I'm like,
Grip it, rip it, say it.
Yeah.
That's what you're okay. And then how about from Leo's perspective?
During like the pod situation?
Yeah,
Okay,
the whole pod situation. You want to try to get the clip and we go, okay? I'll hold off on that clip.
I'll leave the room.
I got it. We won't play it.
I will say when I watched the episode where him and Hannah kind of break things off, I knew it was bad because Hannah off camera was like, oh my God, he's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't know exactly what was said. I didn't know he was calling her twin flame, or else I for sure would have left. I would have literally probably torn down the wall and killed him. I was like, I was a little mad.
Are we over it?
Oh yeah. I don't think any of us are twin flames.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
That's true.
But
I think you can figure that in the moment.
I might have thought so. Maybe I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I think if I had been a fly on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I would not have gotten engaged.
Gotcha.
For sure.
All right. That's interesting.
So she kind of told me, but I didn't have enough details to break things off because my feelings were so strong.
When you watched it back, because it's always interesting in reality TV what happens versus what you watch back, were you surprised by it or were you like, oh, that kind of aligns with what I heard?
It did kind of align.
Yeah.
It's just certain phrases and certain things that were said that I just didn't know about at all until I watched it.
And it's a tough position. It's a tough position.
I'm forced to date all these women.
It feels like you can't win almost. Unless I guess the only way is that you just focus on one person, on only one person.
And I think a lot of the guys found their one person really early on.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And so woe is me, I guess. But and the worst is the more time that I wanted, the deeper I got with both.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it exploded.
Yeah. Would you, knowing what you know now, would you go back on Love is Blind? Like if you could go talk to Leo before he signed up, what would you tell him? Would you say do it or don't do it?
I think I would still tell him to do it.
Okay.
Because I learned so much about myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I got like 10 lifetimes of human psychology, dating psychology, everything.
Literally.
Yeah, and growth.
growth,
right?
Totally.
You need there's a lot of self-awareness that must be built when you're watching yourself back.
For sure.
Okay, one thing I want to talk about, we already talked a little bit about it, your career, right?
Sure.
We've heard stories, and then, again, in this question box, there's a lot of Leo. Does Leo always pay for Brittany and her friends, even though they're friends? How much does Leo make? How much money does he have? How much inheritance does Leo? I mean, literally, it's like all about Leo and money.
Well, the numbers
Talk
I'm
to me.
definitely not going to say.
The numbers you're not sharing. What can you share with all these? Look at this one. What does his bank account look like? My followers are savage. Ask Leo if he's rich. I swear to God.
Well, first of all, for the numbers, you'll have to ask my accountant. But
Okay,
I don't even know.
yeah.
Until he bid on that banana, I said, "Oh."
Did you? I have a real quick. Wait, what'd you say?
He bid on the.
You remember the banana?
Oh yeah.
I bid on that.
Wait, no way.
Yeah, I bid $1.5 million on it.
No, and what did it sell for? 6.3?
6.2, yeah.
So all right, we're gonna go back to your money situation in a second. But if you suppose you win that bid,
Yeah.
what was it? 1 point what?
Well,
Our Basel
so
brain's
it
moving
was
slow.
It was 1.3, but with the buyer's premium, it would have been a little over $1.5 million.
Buyer's premium is what you have to pay if you actually win the bid.
So yeah, so if you win the bid, you then pay like 20% on top of it, and that's what the auction house takes. That's what like the people that sell the banana, that's what they get, and then the person who owned the banana gets the 1.3.
Okay, so what is the strategy? We're coming back to Leo and his business, but why do you bid $1.3 million on a banana? What do you think? Like, you're like, I can get a return? Talk to me.
So for me, I'm a dealer, right? So that particular artwork sold 5 years ago here at Miami Art Basel in 2019 to a gallery called Perrotin Gallery. They sold 3 editions for $120,000, and it made very local art news headlines because it was like banana taped to wall goes for $120K, which is still pretty crazy. By the way, this is a very well-known artist, the guy that made the banana.
Okay, so he's got massive credibility.
He's huge credibility. He's in major museums. So this makes news. Anything that makes news is going to have value. Same in any collectible item. Then when I learned that Sotheby's was putting it up for auction, I figured this is like a piece of art history. The amount of press this is generating. I have clients that buy certain works. I felt that I could get this and in a few years sell it to someone else for like 4 or 5. But then for me, my top was 2. And when the bids got above 2, I was like, because it goes really fast in the room. It's like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So I bid 1.3, and then in like 10 seconds, it was at like 2.5. And then I was like, there's better things I could do with my money, better pieces of art that I could buy, or various investments that would make a better return. So that's why I stopped. And then some Chinese crypto billionaire who has more money than God and way deeper pockets bought it. He probably would have bought it for $62 million. Honestly, I think it was all play money to him.
It was all immediate play.
Yeah,
I'm going to go quick 201 business question. So we're going to go a little deeper.
Sure.
When you buy, suppose you did win that 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Do you have a line of credit that you work off there? Do you only do cash, like the business model of buying art? Do you have like a working capital line of credit? Do you use that to flip and sell?
For this piece, no. This would have been all personal money. Okay. Sometimes I go into a consortium with other dealers where a group of dealers will go in like different percentages on a piece.
Gotcha.
That's valuable. That oftentimes happens for very expensive. Like when you hear when someone buys a piece for like these crazy ones, like $50 million, like really one, they'll be like, there can be 5, sometimes even a dozen dealers that go in together. So sometimes I'll be in with that. I typically don't do credit, though I've honestly considered it. It can be a little tricky with art. There's so many layers to this because in terms of getting credit, you can either take it from a bank, which can be difficult, or you can take, so Sotheby's, the auction house that sold the banana, has something called Sotheby's Financial Services where they give you art-backed lines of credit.
Okay.
And you can get art-backed loans for banks, but it's only for very well-known pieces of art. Like if you have a Picasso, everyone knows Picasso. So a bank has an art appraiser that can give you a line of credit based on the asset value of that piece. But for something that's a little bit less known, like a lesser-known artist, Sotheby's has all these art experts in the auction house. So they'll give you a line of credit. It's worse terms than a bank. Like it's like might even be, I forget what, I would say like 7%. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will do that. So they'll put up art. Also with a lot of these works, there's guarantees. Like, so that banana was, I think, guaranteed to sell for like $1 million no matter what.
Wow.
So they had like a third-party buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like so many layers to all this, but yeah.
That's unbelievable. All right. That's interesting to learn back. You got a little detour there from the tough question. We know the accountant's not in the room.
Yeah.
A lot of people also, by the way, comment on your Rolexes. There's a lot of watch talk.
Yeah.
A lot of watch talk here. So what can you share?
Okay.
I got one on too, by the way. You're not alone. Okay. We're in this
Cheers.
together.
Cheers, I guess.
So screw the Rolex haters. You can actually buy them and then flip them for more. That's an investment. Okay, keep going.
That is absolutely true. There's actually great Instagram accounts of people doing that.
Totally.
So, okay, all of the Rolex talk.
A lot of Rolex talk out here.
I know, but it was all in the context of family. And this Rolex is an incredibly personal family heirloom. And it's funny because a lot of people on, like, there's like watch nerd forums. They're like, that's not even that nice of a Rolex. I'm like, yeah, that's totally true. Like in terms of Rolexes, they go up like way. This is a vintage one, which is like not as like nice. I mean, obviously all these watches are expensive, but this watch was my great grandfather's, and
Wow.
it's kind of an insane story to be honest.
Let's hear it real quick.
So he was born in America in the early 1900s. Family moved over to Hungary. World War I breaks out. Dad gets shot in the head. Mom kicks him out of the house. We think he might have been a bastard child. Makes his way to Germany, to England. Rich uncle sends his voyage. He comes from England back to America. He's living with the rich uncle, butlers and servants. Has a crazy gambling problem. Pisses all the money away one night. He's back out, like not on the street, but in like a crappy apartment. At this point, he's in like 8th grade. Drops out of middle school. Becomes
8th grade.
Yeah,
Great. Dude, you got
grade.
some lineage, man.
Dude, this is like from like the mud. He becomes an upholsterer, which he did for the rest of his life, like fixing furniture. When he was 18 years old, he found that his mom, maybe his mom, was back in the States in New York. So he goes up to her house and he knocks on the door. He's like, "Mom, I'm home. Like it's me." Like, and she slams the door in his face without ever telling him. And it was so traumatizing. He never told his daughter, my grandma, his origin story until he was on his deathbed, and he told her once. And this Rolex, my grandparents, when they made money in the art business, because he was dirt poor, they were born dirt poor, and when they made money, this was like the "we made it," and the inscription on the back is "Happy 85th birthday, love Ethel and Arthur," which are my grandparents.
Wow.
And this is like, he wore this and he would literally hammer like upholstery. He was like a work till the day he died kind of guy, and so he like had his like beat up Rolex, he like stick it in nails, and so it's like incredibly sentimental. And I keep this with the hammer that I got from him for my bar mitzvah.
Wow.
I guess some of that got lost in the sauce, and I get it. It's a flashy like thing, but to me, this thing could be like, I don't like really. Like,
It's invaluable
It's
to you.
invaluable. Like literally, you could. I will never like this. This will go with me.
The
This will go
Rolex
to my children and their
Let
children.
people chirp
Yeah.
all day long. That is going to be passed on. All right, how about this? Can you tell me this with the art business? Can you talk it all about like maybe the revenue, a top line revenue, a goal revenue wise? Can you give me any number at all tied to your art business?
Okay. I'll.
Brittany's like, wow, I'm interested.
waiting.
Tell me more. Brittany's like, I'm just listening to this podcast at this point.
Okay, I'll say this about the art business.
Okay.
I will give you some very vague numbers to satisfy the listeners here.
Okay.
So first off, the art is very volatile, and at the end of the day, it's luxury sales, and you can sell one painting for a crazy amount of money, and that can be like almost a majority of your revenue for the year. It's kind of like people that sell commercial real estate. So you can make a ton, you can make way less. I will say that my revenue can generate from sometimes high 6 figures, it can be 7 figures. I'm not at like, there's some dealers that make like clear like $1 billion a year. Like I'm obviously not that.
Yeah.
Those people are like flying in private jets all over the world. So I'm definitely not at that level, but it fluctuates a ton.
Here's one I got for you. What's the best deal you ever did on a piece of art? Bought it, sold it.
Like how much I made on it?
Yeah, like the best deal, like your marquee, your Emmy Award winning, your Tony Award for your art deal.
Oh, I'm trying to think of
Brittany's like, I should have asked these in the pod.
that.
I had no idea what
that
art
would've
dealing was.
Give me one Tony Award winning.
I can't speak of the piece because it's like like confidential.
I got you.
I'll just say it was a 7-figure deal.
7-figure
I've just
deal
done
of
7-figure.
profitability.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta get in the art business.
That
Sydney, should we get in the art business? Let's go.
Like,
Congrats.
1, 2.
Hey, wait a second. 3, 4, 5. Did you get it? 7. Brittany's like, you know what? Maybe we can make this work. I'm totally kidding. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all that. And I asked Brittany, but crystal ball, where do you see 5 years? Where's it going to be? You're going to stay in this space of, media marketing. You're going to stay in art. What's the dream?
I would love to stay in art. I mean, I did not expect, but the thing is, here's what's funny. I didn't expect like this art dealer thing to become a meme. Like, Brittany, I didn't talk about it, right? Like,
No.
like I really didn't talk about it.
I didn't know he was an art dealer until like date 4.
Wow. Interesting.
I actually don't like talking about it because in DC, if you mention it, like I get it. It's like a job that people want to know more about.
Sure.
So they're like,
It's a sexy title.
it sounds, first of all, it's way less sexy than it sounds. It's phone calls and emails. It's not like,
Yeah.
it sounds cool. It's not nearly as cool as it sounds.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, my aunt's an artist or this. Like sometimes I get in conversations where it's like take her number. So I usually just say I'll say I'm a consultant for Deloitte. Like I'll just lie. But anyways, now that I got memed as this art dealer, everybody now knows that I'm an art dealer.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of having fun making art content because I've noticed a lot of people have questions like, why did the banana sell for so much money? Like what the hell is going on? Why is the slash in a canvas going for $1 million? And I'm not trying to defend it or to say that it's all a scam. I'm here to I think there's some I feel that I could explain it to people.
I feel like you should probably defend and explain,
Exactly.
right? Like, I mean, it's your
Right.
business.
It's my business,
Yeah,
right?
it's your business. Interesting.
So maybe there will be a future of that with like maybe making art. I'd love to explain art to more people. And maybe there's also like a business. It's kind of like become a little mini passion project of mine.
Okay. Leo, the art explainer, educator, and
Yeah.
defender. I
Yeah.
see that happening. All right, Brittany, let's do this. What would you say if you could say, like, there's different podcasts out there, there's media outlets, there's people that are trolls you already talked about. Like, what's the one biggest misconception that you would say to them?
I would say that I don't think I would ever marry for just money
Yeah.
and just do nothing. I am always doing something. So I get paid this a lot, like, oh, she just wants to be pretty and do nothing. I'm literally always doing something. I'm picking up trash. I picked up like 12,000 pounds of trash. I always have passion projects. I'm writing a book. Like, I'm not going to make any money from this book, but I love it. I'm always.
When you said picking up trash at first, I was like, where do you go with this? But you picked up 12,000 pounds of trash?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then people are
amazing.
like, I talked about that in the pods, but it was shown for a split second.
Yeah,
So then when people
that
saw
put
me
it-
on social media, they're like, oh my God, why didn't you talk about this? And like,
Yeah.
I did, but like,
It
you
was like
can't
2
control,
seconds.
Yeah, you can't control what's shown. So yeah, I'm just a very compassionate person. I'm
Yeah.
I have an activist spirit.
I like it. You're put in a box, and that's not a box you live in, is what I'm hearing too.
No, not
Yeah,
at
and that's
all.
not who you are at the core.
Mhm.
I like it. Okay, what would you say, Leo?
God, I was thinking, what to say when you were saying that. Maybe has been shown a little more on social media, but I think I'm like a really goofy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Brittany, you can attest?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't see that side of him
Till after.
till after,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like a never serious sometimes type guy.
Yeah.
And I think in the pods I seemed like so intense all the time and like freaking out all the time. But I like to think in real life, I laugh at myself a lot, which hopefully came across.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I like that. Awesome. Well, guys, I could talk to you for another hour, but we're running out of studio time, so we might have to do a part 2 at some point. But for now, I got to wrap up with your trading secret. So it's specific to either something you've learned in your professional life, your personal life, or financial life, but it's special to you and your journey. No, professor or TikTok tutorial or YouTube tutorial could recreate it. It's just something that's meaningful to you. Who wants to go first?
I actually know exactly what I'm going to say.
Love it.
All right. It comes from my mom, and it's the wisest thing anyone has ever told me. So I was between a very difficult decision of choosing where to go to college, and I was incredibly, incredibly indecisive. I guess indecision is a theme of my life. But my
See, he is funny, guys.
my mom sent me an email, actually, funny enough, and basically what she said is, there is an irony in life that you oftentimes have the least amount of time for the most important decisions. For example, buying a pair of pants, you can spend weeks thinking about it, buy it, return it. But buying a house, there might be a couple coming in 30 minutes after, you got to close. Or same goes with buying a car. Same goes in a relationship. There's always that moment when it's like, you're going up or you're going down. Like, are you going to take things seriously or think, and that there is that, you have to go with your gut. And I think that you have to basically always be prepared to make like those types of decisions, that everybody has a right to follow their own destiny.
Even no matter, it's kind of like, even no matter how big or how much magnitude that decision has, you got to be prepared to make it. I like that.
And I'll give you one more.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's get 2 from Leo.
Okay.
Double dip.
Also from my mom, she was so smart, is you should calculate very specifically what your time is worth. Like how much you make for if you have a job, and
I love this trading secret.
Yeah, and
This is really good.
And if you make $20 an hour,
Yeah.
okay, $20 an hour, and then when you're thinking of what to do, like for example, if you order something off of Amazon and it's $3, and it's going to take you like an hour to put it in and to return it or whatever, that is not literally worth your time, because in theory you could work another hour. It's not that it always shakes out like that it's that easy, but when you factor that in, you realize that you have way more time than you have. And most people's time, at no matter what level, this was true even of my grandparents when they came from literally nothing, is worth more than you think financially.
I think it's a really good one, especially for people that spread themselves too thin.
Yes.
Like you put $1 to your hour.
Yeah.
And then when you say yes to everything, you start to rethink, like if you're like, okay, wait, that's going to be 5 hours. That dollar amount's that. I don't know if that makes sense. That's a really cool trading secret. I like it. I'm glad you did a double dip, Leo.
Thanks.
All right, Brittany, you got to come in strong. You got to finish this strong. It's been a great podcast.
Poor Leo, I call him with all my problems, and he gives me the sage advice. Like,
Okay.
yeah. He's helped me through some tough times.
Is that your trading secret?
Yeah, call Leo. I will give you his number for a pray.
Call Leo and pray together. That could be
I got a new career.
a new career. Call Leo. What would you charge for it? There might be some buyers out there.
Probably,
A banana.
I want to say low, $100, but Leo
$100.
will double my worth.
Sounds like his time per hour is
500.
more than $100. It sounds like.
500.
Do you think would you ever set Leo up with someone?
Yeah.
Like you play matchmaker?
Yeah, I try to.
This could.
I would trust
I
her
feel
with
like
it totally.
this
Yeah.
could be a show. Like you go out there,
Ooh.
do some matchmaking, and then you have to meet with them first.
Oh, that's a great.
Yeah.
And then like
I
after
love
like
that.
their first kiss, you separate and be like, "What'd you think? Was there a connection?" Da da da
Yeah.
da. Because
Yeah.
your friendship's so strong.
Yeah.
It sounds like you would understand. You would see it.
Yeah, Leo and I actually, when we pray, we manifest each other's perfect partners.
Wow.
Literally.
And
yeah.
I nailed her to the detail.
What? Let's manifest his right now. Let's hear it.
Okay. Ooh,
And then we'll
I'm
wrap.
bad at being put on
Then
the
we'll
spot.
wrap.
Okay, gotta close my eyes and focus. Okay, she is obviously very beautiful, Jewish. I'm picturing dark hair, dark eyes, successful on her own, has her own life, because he is very busy, and I feel like you just need to be doing your own thing. You can't be too needy to be with him, I feel. And
You can plug whatever.
Spoken
Yeah.
from experience. Question.
someone who likes arts, likes going out in New York City, networking, chit-chatting.
You know what's one you've always said, which is so funny, is loves going grocery shopping.
Yes, I do.
I'm
He
obsessed.
loves going grocery
I'll
shopping.
go walk through every aisle.
I just had the apartment
Yeah.
guy on, and he said that his new dating strategy, instead of like going on fancy dates and trying to like splurge, is like, I'm just going to take him grocery shopping. I'll buy their groceries. I'll get to learn what they like. I'll get to learn what they buy. All this. I was like, interesting.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
I don't cook. They'd be like,
Do you want to leave us with another trading secret? Or is it just call Leo?
no. I have my own. I have
Okay,
my own.
let's get it.
Okay. Something that I always fall back to is I see the world as a school. And in spirituality, this is just my personal belief. So I just don't see the end. Like if I'm going through something very difficult, I don't have this like, oh my gosh, like this is the worst thing ever. I'm like, what is the learning lesson here? And how can I learn it and move on to the next chapter and graduate this and then move on to the better, higher, greater chapter of my life?
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like if you go think about like grade K through 12 and so on, right? You think
Yeah.
about like every chapter you go through something, you learn something, and then it's in the past. It's done. And
Our soul is always evolving. It's always
Yeah.
growing. We're going to maybe, I don't know if you believe, but reincarnate into a different version and learn a whole new lesson in that lifetime.
wow. Do you think you've lived? How many lives do you think you've lived? I
Not
promise.
too many.
Okay, just a few.
At least 10.
At least 10.
Yeah.
All right.
At least 10.
This was a fascinating episode of Trading Secrets. We hit personal, professional, financial, love, friendships, manifesting, spirituality, all the things. This has been phenomenal. Brittany, we'll start with you. Where can everyone find you and everything you have going on?
All my social handles are Brittany and Wisniewski.
Okay, go follow Brittany. Can people like can people book esthetician work with you right now? Or are you
Trying to get out of it.
okay? You're trying to get out of it. So do not go
I'm
to
not
her.
even working the whole
Really
month of
book it.
December.
Okay, I was trying to promote the business after the
I
commission.
appreciated that.
I got you. Leo, where can everyone find everything you have going on?
Leo_Braudy, Braudy.
Cool. And where
Yeah.
can they find anything about your artwork? Is there a website or?
Yeah, my website's on my Instagram. So
Okay.
just if you happen to be in the market, or if you just have a question about art, I'm always kind of enjoying making these videos. If there's anything you want to know, maybe I'll make a video on it. So just, I don't know, comment on it on a post or DM me or email me at my business email. It's up there.
And
Okay.
if you're Listerine, he would like a brand deal.
Listerine?
No
Bad
money
breath?
involved, just Listerine strips.
Do you have like a bad breath thing or no?
Well,
No, he does not. I will say that. Let me not start a rumor.
I always,
You have great breath.
because of Listerine strips.
Oh, but you just always have them on you.
Always.
Gotcha.
If you see one in the street and it's empty, like call the police. Because,
No,
like something.
I've been picking up after you.
Yeah.
I'm
the
That's
Listerine
all the
strips.
trash you've been
Little
picking up.
microplastic
Leo's
Listerine
Listerine
strips.
strips. fun fact in The Bachelor, you have like 3 of those at all times on you.
Oh,
like
really?
everyone does, because there's a lot of kissing. So you can't have bad breath. So like it's always before you go into a scene, before you go anything, Listerine strips,
that's
Listerine strips,
hilarious.
Listerine
That's
strips. So
hilarious.
there you go, Listerine. If you're listening, you got someone who deserves a sponsorship. Well, thank you guys so much for being on this episode of Trading Secrets. It was a fun one, and good luck with all your continued success. We'll have to have you on for a part 2 one of these days.
For sure.
Thank you.